Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus one more time. And this is my normal, what we would call Sunday expression, my Sunday morning expression. Wonderful day indeed it is. And I'm reminded this morning that all over the United States of America, people are going to be reminded that there is a God. At least, whether they know it or not, they're going to be able to say that they've heard that there's a God. Now, whether that God really means anything to them or not is a different story. It is a question, however, though, one might ask, does God really mean anything to me? And if so, what does that really mean? Well, I have had the opportunity to ask myself and answer these questions, and very satisfied with the answer. And to the degree I've satisfied, I take my time to share with you what I have received. And I'm so excited because what happens here is so much different than what happens from out there. Out there, there's pain, there's suffering. Out there, there's lying, there's cheating. Out there, there's stealing, there's crime, there's violence. Out there, there's poverty. There's everything you see, what they do it for survival. These are the basic tools, or should I say, the cancerous diseases that cause, or is a reflection, should I say, of the failure of the status quo. And so, to me, that has basic principles. Its existence, for its continuity, it has basic powers that allows it to express itself. And we speak about the things that I talk about, and really it seems to be happening in spurts, in little spurts and spurts, which I have been able to evaluate as games that are being played, part of the game that is. So what I spend my time is talking about what I understand of a power that is more magnificent and more wonderful than any power that I know of. And when we think about God, generally most of us would say, "Well, God made the earth." We say that because we don't believe man did it. And when we say the earth, we think about certain things of the earth. Like the big trees. Everybody thinks about the big trees. And we have seen some big trees, and they're great valleys and rivers, and lakes, brooks, and even oceans. And then we look up in the upward, and we call it a sky. And up there, colors changes. Sometimes they're white, sometimes they're blue, sometimes wind seems to be whirling around and things get stirred up. Yeah. Then we look at all the resources within the earth and we say, man had nothing to do with any of that. So there must be a power that's more magnificent than we are. And so we call it God. But it seems as if though the stories that we've heard about God, they have never ever taken us to the point that we say we want to go. It always appears that for every period in time, that destiny that every man, every human being is is pointed toward just never happens. Even the speaking never happens, as far as I can see. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure, great pleasure to tell you that I know that you have achieved much. Many of you, I heard someone explain it yesterday. They said there were times you had to walk around barefooted in the dirt roads, but now you don't. You can drive around in nice cars. I heard somebody say there was a time you used to use outhouses, you know, but now some of you even got golden toilets. I heard them say yesterday there was a time you had to have school wherever you could find it there. Sometimes on a tree, sometimes you can imagine what hard times were like when you go back to where you come from. But now it seems that everything, people got big beautiful homes. You know, it seems as if what you've imagined, what you've dreamed about is happening. And this is true for those that is happening too, so they can thank this God. But on the other hand, there are those who have never experienced any of these any death or height. And so, what are we talking about? I want you again, I just used that, ladies and gentlemen, to draw us to this point. The power that I tell you of as spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people is this, is that you are here made beautifully, special for a purpose, to play a part in the creative process. That's what you do. Humankind create. Yes, you create. That's your job. You were put here to do that. And in so doing that, you would experience peace. You would experience prosperity and freedom. You would experience joy. And you would experience the fulfillment of your dreams. Yes, you never have to suffer for anything, because all you have to do is imagine. And once you imagine, the abilities to do it is amongst you all. That ability is spread it amongst you all. And whatever you can imagine, you can create. That's godly, my friends. Now, if you are creating all that exists, what's the purpose of purchasing it? I mean, where did that come from? It's already yours. It belongs to the human race. But this is the system of the power of that master for God that I speak to you about. And that master for God, my friends, has made it clear that you should suffer for nothing unless you are following the dictates of another. Now, I know many of you have talked about the beginning of time, especially those of you who consider yourselves Christians. Let me ask you something. You've heard it said that God took Adam and Eve and showed them the world and said, all things belong to them, except this one thing, do not do. Now, some of that, I don't know how you've maybe scripted that or how you kind of changed it around, but you know there was a restriction. Don't do this. And you've heard ways that this was violated. And I know it is confusing to you, but I'm going to give you an expression of how it's done. I have just said that there's this God that wanted peace and prosperity for everybody and how to get it. Now, someone else comes along and deceives. Now, a typical example. We have a modern day typical example of what that deception is. You know, ever since Donald Trump came on the scene, and I'm just using Donald Trump because Donald Trump carried the spirit of what I'm speaking about. Ever since he came on the scene, all he did was to destroy, to divide, to try to conquer for his own benefit, all the way to the point he lied from the beginning, and he did everything deceptively to the point that when he lost the election, he lied to try to claim that, lied to try to get a force to militarize itself. Look at that. To militarize itself and come and take over the country for him, with the love for him, not for everybody. Now, that's the way it happens, ladies and gentlemen. Here's something, this evil spirit comes out in the world who can experience peace and prosperity and freedom. Here comes someone like Donald Trump coming. Well, you can have it better. You can have it better. You are better than they are. You deserve more than they are. People believe it. Then they go over there and they say, now they're ready to kill. They're ready to steal. They're stealing already, but they're willing to go to any extreme. So make Donald Trump God. The church, even the right-wing church went over there. called Donald Trump a gift sent by God to straighten up the world. And it might be. I just want to tell you this. Whatever you got, you have seen nothing yet. Because all you're going to have with people like anybody, white or black, man or woman, old or young, American or other, is going to be chaos. Oh yes, there will always be a little smooth going for some, but there'll always be a lot of roughness for others. And you can believe it. You can believe it. In America, people thought they had attained the right to vote and kind of rested on that a little bit. And right about now, started by lies. See how lies move? Now they want to destroy everything. That cancer is just spreading. You thought you had some humanity established. You thought you had something set up that had a reflection of true community. But now you want to tear it down. So you're nobody. I can take away your voice. We can dictate who's going to do what and make sure. Now, what is that asking for, ladies and gentlemen? That is nothing but pure D hell. Now, in your church, I don't know what your pastor's going to tell you today, but I'm going to tell you. Think about yourself. I want you for one moment, place yourself in California, in a place called Paradise, where that wildfire went through there and burned that baby to the ground. I want you to place yourself in any of these cities where the floods have come through. I want you to place yourself in any of these places where the hurricanes, the storms have come through and people have been running. People have been drowning, even in their cars, drowning in their basements because it came through so fast and they couldn't get out, didn't know what was going on. Put yourself in the place of these people and say, thank God it hasn't happened to you, but you got to do something to prepare that it doesn't happen to you. And you got to do that by thinking about more than yourself, because it takes everybody to be involved to save yourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up and live. Because I'm telling you, you ain't seen nothing yet. The beauty of life, you haven't begun to receive it. Look, did you know that truly your purpose to come here on this earth, and then I'm going to slow it down, I know I'm repeating myself, but your purpose for being here is to bring an additional point of electricity to be. Look, don't let, you didn't come here for some people to shape you and form and mold you to be what they want you to be. No, you came here to be who you are. And in the plan of life, can't do without you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I want to just leave it there. I think I've said what I wanted to say 2 or 3 times. I haven't been that confusing, I hope. But I want to thank you for staying with me. Maybe there was something in there that was said. I want you all to always remember, if you want to live, you got to be willing to turn loose these chains that bind us where we are. You gotta. I know it's a frightening situation. It's like hanging off a cliff and somebody say, turn loose, baby, we're going to catch you. And you looking down that cliff, they say, turn loose, baby, we're going to catch you. Turning loose that cliff is the hardest thing in the world to do. But you turn it loose and you're floating. And you know what? Someone's there catching you. Doesn't it feel good? Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good one.